Right guys, I'm going to show you a very quick way of making a white sauce. Now the technical way of making a white sauce is to make a roux, and in that way you melt the butter and then add the flour and then you gradually add the milk. But I will show you that in another video, but today we're going to do my favorite way of doing a white sauce, and purely because it is very quick, you get the same results at the end, and I just like it because of the speed of it. So in here I have 750 mils of milk, I have 60 grams of butter, and I've just started to slightly heat the milk so that the butter melts. Then in here I have 60 grams of flour, and it's always the same amount of butter to flour. So regardless of if you use less milk, you use less butter and flour, but always the same amount. So the first thing that I have to do with the all-in-one method, if you add this flour directly into the milk mixture, you're going to have lumps. So I have left about 50 or so mils of milk out of my saucepan, and I'm just going to make a little flour paste on this side. You don't want it too you don't want it too thick, guys. You want it, so I'm just going to add a little bit more and I'll show you what it should look like. And the biggest thing is that you just want to make sure that you are coating all the particles of flour. You don't want lumps in this mixture, although it's not the end of the world because you can whisk them out once they get into the milk, but it just makes it easier. So you're going to mix that in, and because I've already started to heat up my milk, I'm going to temper my flour, and I'll show you how I do that. Alright, fine. Don't worry about those little ones. We'll get those out when we make the actual sauce. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get a big spoon, and I'm going to take some of my hot milk and I'm going to pour it into my flour. The only reason I do that is because I made my little flour mixture with cold milk, and I just want to heat this mixture up just a little bit so that it's not such a shock when it hits the rest of the white sauce. So my milk's been heating already. I had actually just put it off just so that I could do this next bit to show you. Should have really chosen a bigger bowl to do this in, but you can see got most of the lumps out anyway after adding in the warmed milk. Right, you just don't want to add too much milk in one go because then it becomes very difficult to get those lumps out. Right, and then what we do once we've tempered that is we are going to add that to the rest of our mixture. Just going to get rid of that. Right, and we're going to pour it all in one go. I'm just going to use my whisk. Now guys, one of the most important things that you have to do constantly is to stir. So you are not going to get lumps, because what happens is if you do not stir this mixture, what happens is that the starch at the bottom of the saucepan that's in direct contact with the heat. Sorry guys, I had to get rid of my dog there. He makes a lot of noise. So as I was saying, you have to stir it constantly because the the flour particles that are in the bottom that are going to be in constant contact with the heat are going to thicken first. And if you don't stir, you are going to get lumps in your white sauce. And guys, a white sauce is an amazing thing. It goes from thin to thick in a couple of seconds. So I'm going to carry on stirring, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. Alright guys, so now I've grated some fresh nutmeg into that, some salt and some pepper, and I'm just going to give it a stir, and that's my white sauce done. Right, and I'm going to come back and show you what I'm going to do when I'm putting it together with my lasagna.